Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
Um,
You know what we forgot to do last time, I think, was announcements.
okay, well, I wrote it. I wrote it down.
Okay, well, I just don't trust you anymore. Start over.
Hi.
Pasta was literally she was like, oh, hell no, she did.
This bitch is gonna come out like we are a team. I slave for 20 minutes before we do this, and you're gonna have the audacity to tell me that I don't know what I'm doing.
We're not starting over. This is fine.
Yeah, no, it's over. We will do announcements, but I just don't like doing them at the top.
I know, but then we never do them.
But
so
I know because we both don't. We both have fish brains. You're how many weeks into quarantine are you?
It just ended today, actually. So it was 4 weeks.
Congratulations!
I know. I feel so I feel like at the end of Shawshank Redemption, where they he gets out of jail, but he doesn't know what to do with himself.
You just emerged from like a shit pipe, and you're just like freedom.
Yeah,
freedom. But you still smell like shit.
It's freedom, but it's not like quality. Do you know what I mean? He got out of jail and he didn't know how to live, and I got out of jail and I don't know how to. Yeah, exactly. I still have to. I mean, that virus still exists and the vaccine isn't out yet and all that. But so, but I did go to yoga. I went to hot yoga today, and I always feel so brain dead and in a bad mood after hot yoga. And I know it's dehydration. And does that actually result in me drinking more water? No. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just think it's so funny that you're like, I know what the cause is, but I don't fix the problem.
Exactly. It's like you with meditation. It's just we know what we need to do.
Yeah.
And so I was in yoga and I felt something on my wrist. And I thought it was like, how sometimes a stray hair blows onto your wrist and you're like, get the fuck off me.
Yeah.
It was like that, but it was a spider.
No.
Yeah.
Well, like in some weird pose in yoga.
Yeah. It was all twisted up, and I was like, ah! I was like, I'm not.
It's the best is that you're like in some weird thing where your legs aren't even on the ground, and you spider, and you're like,
yeah. I'm in the room like everybody else is like just in the center, and I'm just like, ah! And I was like. And it remains just off of my mat, and I would have had to keep making a show of it. Like I was looking at the instructor to catch eyes with me so I could be like, there's a spider, but I didn't have anything to wipe it away with, so I'm like.
You're trying to cause a hurricane on your mat so that you can continue to do yoga. Just like the most ridiculous human.
Yeah.
That's
in the time of COVID, I'm like, you can't do that.
And it's not like you're wearing shoes or anything. It's not like you're literally like
might as well be naked.
There's nothing. So it's like you can't smush it with your hand, and then you're just a person that has a dead thing on you.
Yeah.
And you'll just know. For me, I'll be distracted. I'll be like, there's a guts on my foot right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be some sort of distraction because it was like, yeah, do I have that karma now, or I blew it away and it was like right off my mat. So in Shavasana, when you're supposed to lie there and like everything you just did, just kind of, it's kind of like Shavasana is like when you take like a steak off the grill and you have to let it set for 5 minutes so all the juices start flowing through the steak. That's what Shavasana is for the human body. You just have to let all your chi kind of set. And but I couldn't relax because I knew that thing. I was just picturing it like crawling up, like running up to my ear and going, you know what I mean? So
the way I saw it is like, if I was trying to relax, I'd be like, maybe I can send messages to the spider, like we're Shavasanaing right now. Like if you could just let's all take a moment, think about our lives. You think about your spider life.
You would mentor the spider.
I would literally be like, I'd be like setting it up. I'd be like, here's your little mat. Here's a piece of paper towel. I'm making you a mat. If you could sweat on your own mat, that'd be great.
Downward dog's going to be a little tricky for you.
I know you don't know what a dog is, but this is what we're doing. I love that you had like an anti-Charlotte's Web of a yoga experience where you're just like, I don't want to kill it, but I also don't want to be friends with it.
I didn't want it on me, and it didn't. I just felt so tricked. I was just like, oh, there's a hair. Ah, it's a spider.
That is, because I think we're both like, in general, I feel like women just shed, but like curly hair, women
Yeah.
like straight hair falls and then you just find it on the floor. Curly hair, it's in everything. It's like, I mean, I remember telling my ex, like, you'll never get rid of me. Like, my hair will be here for years.
Yeah, never cheat on your partner with a curly haired
Oh
person.
yeah, or it has to be with another curly haired lady. I've always said that.
Yeah.
You got to go curly to curly. You can't
Yeah.
go straight to curly because you're gonna. But I remember I was gone for a month. This was like years ago. I was gone for a month and I came home, and I found my own hair like on his stuff. But I was like, I hadn't been there forever, and it's my hair. It's like whatever. But it's just like it's forever everywhere. Like my own place, his place. Like, but we just.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad,
It,
guys.
I
Oh crap! What was I gonna say?
think you were going to talk about a leaky ceiling.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so funny that like I'm almost jealous of your because like we're not in like full shutdown like you were, but we're not nothing's going on. You're not gonna cry during my podcast. I'm not doing this with you right now. Come here. You're my spider.
You are those
You are
friends
my
on.
spider.
Can you? Okay. You know, when your
um
friend just has a baby or your sister or something, and you try to talk to them on the phone, and everything is interrupted with, "Come here, stop, drop that, Tony," or whatever you fucking name it.
Tony, when your father comes home. Yeah, I'm having trouble relaxing in the like screaming in your ear. That's pretty much every conversation I have with my older sister. And she'll be like, oh, so tell me about that. And she'll be like, Scout, I will fucking kill you. And she's like, and I'll just stop talking. She's like, you can keep talking. I was like, I feel like you're not focused. It's just a feeling. um but no, it's just so funny that you talking about yoga. I'm almost like jealous of your spider shenanigans, like your life outside of the world, because we're just like not doing anything. But yeah, I had so I've lived in this apartment for 6 years. The first week I moved here, there was a waterfall in my room, and luckily it's right in front of my bathroom. So clearly the people above me, their bathroom is in line with my bathroom. So for the first, I would say 6 months of living in this apartment, I had truly a waterfall. Like it was a shit ton of water. I had to have a bucket. You know, it's a lot of like maneuvering around my waterfall to go into my bathroom. And so they find like there was all these issues, blah, blah, blah. And there's not really, basically what they told me is there's not really a plumbing problem above me. They have 3 kids. They, you know, kids are splashy. And I was like,
But
yeah,
they're
but
splashy.
like, and like I get that, like as somebody that was one of 5 kids, my sister has 3 kids, I get that bath
No, that
time.
sounds like a plumbing problem if I ever heard it. It's just like
Yeah,
it's not the pipes, it's they have children.
yeah,
And
but
you know, because how do you argue with that?
yeah, and I don't want to be a dick, like, you know, teach your kids about water safety and,
It's
you
not the
know,
kids. The pipes are fucked in your building because
I'm
as
sure they are.
people have wrote in, because I think there was like an email and a YouTube comment and about your bathtub and
Having
how
having
that's
having ghost suds.
yeah, I mean that's a nice way to put somebody else's dirty water is leaking into that bathtub. But that's
Yeah,
what's happening. The pipes in your building are fucked.
I'm sure it is. I mean, it's New York City, and this place is. It just makes you like. I used to be on the top floor. My first ever real apartment in New York City, I was on the top floor. It was a 5-floor walk up, so that was like my quads looked great, but I was quite tired most of the time. And if you forgot something in your apartment, you're like, that
Okay.
is it. Like you know what I mean?
I'm
You
like
don't
that
have an
anyway.
umbrella, you're getting wet, girlfriend. Um, it was a real testament to letting go and not needing stuff. But now years later, you know, almost 20 years later, I'm on the first floor, and the noise complaint, you know, it's just everything. It's just like your neighbors like control your life. And so uh so I had this major leak the first 6 months of living here. You know, they fucking patch it up, blah blah blah. It's been fine. But then I was in Asia and Australia last year around this time. I was gone for a month and a half, and like, you know, completely on the opposite side of the world, and I get frantic text messages from my roommates that the entire kitchen ceiling caved in. And again, we had a legit waterfall for like a week where it was just like flooding in our kitchen, and then it was just like buckets and pots everywhere, and that was fixed. And it was funny because I remember telling my landlord, like maybe a year earlier, I was like, something's going on in the kitchen. And he's like, it's fine. And then I would tell my super, I'd be like, something's going on in the kitchen. They're like, it's fine. And as somebody that doesn't know anything about anything, I was like, I saw it. I saw it. I saw it. I said something. Nobody listens. Nobody listens to the little women with their ideas of construction. So anyway, like a week ago, I heard some dripping, and it was very like clink, like it was like that kind of like makes you go crazy. You're like, there's dripping happening. Where is it coming from? And then yesterday, I was like in the middle of a show, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like in the middle of a joke, I was like, you fucking fuck faces. It's just gushing water. And so my friend had, my roommate had a bucket. It's probably about, I would say 1/5 full of water. And my super looked at it. Again, he's telling me about babies splashing and what have you. And I was like, that's fine, man. But like, luckily it's been every 6 years that it's been fixed, but it's like a little bit like, this is my room. Like,
plus how old are these babies by now? They
yeah,
must
no,
be
it's
in
been
fucking
6
college.
years. There's like an 18-year-old who still doesn't know not to splash. So yeah, I mean, it's funny that like when I first moved in, because we came from a really bad like slumlord-like apartment that we lived in for 5 years.
I love that place. It was right off the subway.
I was right off the subway. I mean, they were the worst landlords, super, everything about worst. The apartment I liked, but it was so poorly taken care of. It was such a fucked up place. And luckily I lived with great people, but I have fond memories of it because it was emotionally healing. That was an emotionally healing time for me. That's probably one of the most ridiculous things I've said. My chakras lined up and I really like connected.
I don't know. Considering all the like TikTok videos you've sent me, I see where that came from.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just poorly, like the landlords were garbage people. The super was like a coked out madman. We had a code word for him because we were on the same floor, and we called him Cornelius because we couldn't use his real name because we were so scared. There'd be times that we'd complain about him and he'd be outside our door. It was like a sitcom. So now we would be like, hey, I saw Cornelius. What did he say? And like, I don't even remember his real name because we had such a like code name for him. But they were so toxic and so bad that when I moved here and I immediately had a problem, I was angry and I was bitchy. And then I actually genuinely like my landlord. I genuinely like my super. And because they actually fixed the problem, now when I have a problem with the building, I'm not as angry because I'm like, they will fix it. Nobody's trying to screw me over. They've actually been really understanding over the years and thoughtful that I'm like it doesn't bother me the same way because I know these people aren't trying to screw me over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I look and I see my leak and I go, and I joke about it. I'm like, oh, I have a waterfall. I'm just like coming up in the world. Like,
do you know what they do studies about like doctors and people who are actually personable, and if you like your doctor, you're less likely to sue your doctor. You know, like doctors who are nice to people get sued a lot less.
They should teach that in med school.
I honestly think that's a huge lesson to be learned. Like, I was really mad at Amazon Fresh last night because I ordered a bunch of shit, cake mix included, and it just didn't come, but they said it was delivered. And so I contacted them and they were like, oh, it got delivered to the wrong place. I was like, what? Like, what?
It's an address. How do you deliver it to the wrong place? It has my name. It has my address.
It doesn't get any easier.
You literally have all my information.
Yeah. And he was just like, oh, well, we can refund it or send it again. And I was like, I mean, I feel like I should get both because you've inconvenienced me because like instead of getting it at 5, I got it at 11.
I should have been eating cake right now.
Should have been eating cake right now. And like, you'll never understand the disappointment.
You can never feel my pain.
You'll never understand it. And he just didn't. So whatever, I had him redeliver it. And then I didn't get priority. I was supposed to get priority. I was just so fuming by the time it actually came. And then the delivery driver was just lovely. He was so nice. You know, he was like, hi. It was, even though it was freezing, it was late. He had 7 heavy bags of my stuff. And he was just like, how you doing? Like, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Damn it. I wanted to be mad.
I know. Why are you so nice and charming?
I do love that it like pans and it's just like you guys eating cake together.
Yeah,
Like he's
totally.
inside.
Like, come
And you're
on
just
in.
like,
It'll just be 20 minutes.
yeah. Like, take a load off. I can't believe you're out here late at night. Let's make you some, cake and sprinkles, whatever it is that I ordered. Did you always have those pillows? They're so pretty.
I've had them for at least 4 weeks. You're just now noticing them.
Yeah. Little upset. It makes me think of that Kevin James joke where you're like, is that a, I love your little butterfly clip. And you're like, oh, I didn't notice.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. I love them. It says
Yeah,
like
they're
it says Chinese flowers print, and then in the description it says Japan print, and it's like it feels like a racist company.
yeah. They're just like some kind of flower that's not in America. Enjoy
Some
it.
Asian ass print. But
Yeah, they're just like, whatever. It's Asian. You're welcome.
yeah. So I'm mad if you like it.
Thank you to our Patreons. Thank you for all our patrons that have been Patreoning. I don't really should learn the language of that. Everybody that donates to us and supports us, and we appreciate it. Of course, we just put out a new bonus for December, and we have extended interviews. We have stickers. You can come on and Google with us. But thank you for everybody that supported us. And if you want to, patreon.com/2non-doctors.
Follow us on the social medias. On Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, it's 2non-doctors. And on Instagram, it's 2non-DRS.
Yeah. Fan mail?
Yeah. This was a YouTube comment from Omolhat. I think I got that right. And I think it was in a response to our episode about preservatives, when good food won't go bad.
Yeah.
They say, I spent most of my life eating trash. Without exaggeration, I ate exclusively Hot Pockets and frozen burritos for about 15 years.
We relate to that.
Is this Jim Gaffigan's pen
Yeah,
name?
yeah, Jim is writing in.
At the beginning of 2020, I decided to start eating healthy and went from that to eating extremely healthy, salmon salads, that sort of thing. It's amazing how fast your body will respond to the dietary changes. I always thought the snooty people eating fancy food were being babies about things like preservatives. That said, now that I'm eating fresh food and cooking everything myself, people would be shocked how much you can taste the chemicals in processed foods. It's like everything is cooked with a cup of salt and a half a cup of bleach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to experience almost that 180 to really start to kind of taste the difference and understand the difference in your body. And because I had all these health issues when I was younger, of course mine was for stomach issues, but I noticed like I love string cheese. It's one of those things that I just love cheese in general. It's easy. But I remember and it was always just like a snack I had in my fridge. And then I remember I went pretty strict. I was on paleo for a while. I was eating super healthy. I was like off processed sugar, off processed food. And then, you slowly slip back in, and I was like, and then you have this epiphany. You're like, oh yes, string cheese. I can get my string cheese back. And I went and bought string cheese, and it tasted like chemicals.
Yeah.
I've never bought it again. And I bet you, because I've kind of really gone off my diet and I'm not nearly as strict, and I pretty much inhale sugar for breakfast, but I still think I probably could have tasted the chemicals, or I was so shocking to me that I don't think I would ever willingly enjoy it again. You get your taste buds back when you're not being accosted by sugar and being accosted by preservatives, and you're not being accosted by salt. That's what you really start to learn, is that there's other flavors, but processed food knows that we like those, and it clearly releases some kind of dopamine that they're like, why put a little when you could put a lot? And they just saturate it with it, and you really don't notice it until you take it out of your diet.
You're just talking about this, and I have a lemon cake that just came out of the oven before I started the podcast that I'm going to frost after this. I'm like, oh. It's kind of ruined.
You'll be
for
fine.
Me. Yeah.
You'll be fine. As somebody that made a Thanksgiving cake, you'll be fine.
Oh, what did it say? Fuck 2020?
Oh no, it said this cake is 95% effective. And then I took a syringe that I'm supposed to use to medicate my cat. We have several, but at first I was going to draw it, but I'm not a very good artist. I was already proud of my handwriting for this thing, but I took one of her syringes and I put it on the cake, and then the cure to COVID is sprinkles, and there's sprinkles all over the cake.
What kind of cake? What was the flavor?
Oh, I love how interested you are. It's it's chocolate. It was chocolate cake, and then it was a vanilla icing because we needed to be able to write on it. And then I searched all over the grocery store for icing pens, and I almost thought I had to give up and start doing it with like, I thought I was gonna have to spell shit out with sprinkles, and I was just like very distraught because we had a lot to do. That this was my first Thanksgiving that I cooked, and really the first time I've ever cooked for more than like 2 people, and I was just very stressed out. And then we found the pens, and I was very excited. And it was, I have to say, for this was like my first like cooking and planning and whatever. And again, it was just me and my roommates, but not only did we do a good job, but like everybody helped out. And I just like became very like, almost like I raised my roommates. I was like, I'm so proud of us. Like there was nobody that's like, oh, come out when it's ready. Like everybody was part of the cake process. Even when it was just me writing stuff out, like everybody, Chris was taking pictures. John was like, you got this. Like, you know what I mean? Like
offering moral support.
I had like a marathon team, the people that help put on the tires and stuff.
I just wanted to know if it was chocolate with icing. And
Liz, I just wanted to know what kind of cake it was. And I was like, it's a beauty of
I don't give a fuck.
To a flavor that is undeniable. And you're like, vanilla or chocolate, Liz?
All I want to know in a food porn way, just chocolate cake, vanilla icing, sprinkles, all. I'm like, and you just kept going.
I apologize. You had a simple question and I gave a flowery girl answer for 45 minutes, and I now understand what it's like to date me.
Yeah, seriously. Somebody was like, yes,
how was your day?
You're like, well, I actually got this top at H&M, but it was on sale, and I normally don't shop at H&M, but like they would, you know what I mean? I just wanted to know what, like, is your bra lacy or not?
And I was like, okay, so I don't really like when they use child labor, but the children, they have smaller fingers and they do such a great job. And that's why the lace is more intricate. And you're like, Jesus Christ, Liz.
It's exactly.
Well, I'm sorry. Everybody had to see that. I think that was one of our most volatile fights.
I mean, you know what it is, though? It's like that this podcast is actually keeping me from cake. So, like, I'm like, your timer's on, right? Good.
Yeah. You're like, wow. Okay. Well, thank you for writing in.
Thank you.
Thank you for commenting. We hope that you continue to stay with your healthy diet. And if not, we both have a lot of cake to offer, apparently. We are not the examples that should be set for healthy eating. Do you want to get into Google's?
Yeah.
You're such a mess today.
I'm a dick. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You had a straightforward question.
I thought so.
And I took it too far. And I can admit that.
I love you.
I'll go first.
Okay.
We've brought up seltzer a lot, but I had like a weird panic about it because it's almost all I drank for the last week. So my Google was, does seltzer hydrate you? And the reason is I started to run again. My friend, my running buddy, Irene, I've done this a couple of years, but I haven't done it for a while. But it's this thing where you have to run a mile every day from Thanksgiving to January 1st as a way to kind of like, they make it a really low stakes and just to kind of motivate you. And it's almost exactly what I needed because I've really just been really bad at running and not consistent. And I'd be off for 2 weeks and then run 2 days in a row. And I don't know. So I've been running a mile every day. So of course, or at least a mile, sometimes more. And then of course I'm really hydrated, but I have seltzer cans everywhere. So I'm just kind of always drinking seltzer. And I just had this like panic where I was like, what if I'm hurting myself? Like, what if it's doing nothing? So good news, still killing it. So they basically say carbonated water hydrates you just as well as regular water. They just say it just doesn't feel the same in your body because it kind of causes like I don't know how to say this word.
Spell it.
I didn't really write it fully out. I kind of wrote it in Liz gibberish. Gastrointestinal. I think that's the word. Okay. Gastrointestinal discomfort, meaning like bloating, cramps, and like a false sense of fullness. So you can drink it all the time, but it's not great before a workout and like before a race or something, because you're literally, your stomach is uncomfortable and then you're jiggling your stomach while running. So
It's actually like shaking up a soda before you open
could
it.
you imagine I start running and I'm like, these bubbles,
What if you actually end up running faster because you're being propelled by the gas?
Oh, fun. That'd be so fun. Yeah. I was thinking more that I would start running and then I start foaming from the mouth, like when you put too much soda in a cup and it overflows.
Right. Or if you're your neighbor and you're taking a bath.
Yes, like my neighbors. Exactly. So they basically was like, it's fine. And then I did a little more research. I didn't get too much into it, but I think we've already talked about it. The real problem with carbonated beverages is that drinking too much of it starts to eventually erode your enamel.
I thought the real problem was cancer and dying, because remember when we had Amelia on, she Googled that.
But I wonder if that's because I drink plain seltzer. All it is carbonation and water.
Oh.
I think that starts to get in with these fake flavors.
Okay.
You know how they legally don't really have to tell you what's in it? I think that's when it starts to get mysterious.
Okay.
That's what I think, but I could be wrong. But for the most part, just plain seltzer, the real thing that you need to be worried about is these bubbles are fucking up your enamel.
Okay.
Science. That was my Google. I feel like we need to have like a sound effect. Like,
do you know what? I think that would be a lot of fun. And I'll look into it. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
My Google was what does lab meat taste like?
Lab meat?
Yeah, lab meat, lab grown meat. Because I think in Singapore they just served, what was the thing that happened in Singapore? Sorry.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
Oh, they just approved it. I was like, oh, did they serve it to people?
And so this is
these chicken nuggets, which aren't really meat anyway, so it's sort of perfect.
But it's like, it was never an animal. What is it made of?
They took the cells of the chicken. I think it like starts with like a soya base, and then I looked into it a little bit, and like they like grow the cells within like a soy like meat tissue, like to give it the
these are
the feel of tissue.
I don't like that phrasing.
I don't know if I phrased it correctly. And yeah,
you're like chewing it. This really feels like tissue.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not what you're eating. So you're like, they put the chicken cells or the beef cells in that, and then it grows from there.
And it's never alive, I guess, I'm assuming.
Right. So that's the point. And it's like more sustainable to eat lab grown meat than like the way we're doing it now isn't sustainable, and obviously is causing a lot of environmental problems. I wanted to know what it tastes like, because I was just like, because I think in 2048 most of the meat's going to be lab grown meat, and I'm like, is this something where I'm just going to want to go vegan instead? And and they say after a taste test, 3 volunteers, they don't mention out of how many, they just say 3 volunteers said that the lab grown meat had a pleasantly meaty flavor, which sounds like something you would tell your vegetarian best friend at Thanksgiving. Oh, this vegan bacon has a pleasantly meaty flavor. Like, it sounds like something you would say to be nice.
And then did everybody else vomit? Like, they
didn't say how many people were tasting it. So
just or dissatisfied.
I'm sure the rest of them were like, ugh. You know.
There was a really weird movie on Netflix. I watched it like 3 or 4 years ago. Cannot tell you what it's called, but basically, I think it's Tilda Swinton. Is that?
Oh yes, that was a weird movie.
You saw it, right?
Yeah, Oika or something. OJKA, the pig.
Yes, yes. It was so weird for so many reasons, but basically, the plot of it is this like maniacal, crazy lady invented a lab-like meat, or like she invented a new animal that tastes better than pork. Like, remember, it was like a beef pig combo, and it was this big ass thing, and farmed it. It was like a new animal that they made up, and then they made meat out of it, and it was going to like change everything because it was so much bigger than a pig or it was like the size of an elephant. Yeah. So it was a super pig. Great. And it was the size of an elephant, and they made meat out of it. And then it was about this girl that rescues, one, and blah, blah, blah. And it had like PETA like aspects to it. But then there was like weird, like there was like a scene where there's like fake pig rape. I don't know what the fuck that was. Do you remember that? It was like,
yeah, it got weird.
It was so fun. And,
I hated that movie.
I really did too. Like I watched it and I was like, I'm somehow scarred by this
Yes.
and upset for not the reasons they wanted me to be upset
Yes.
about.
The only good thing about that movie was like reading like viewer reviews after. Not like the Siskel and Ebert type reviews, but like just regular people's reviews. And
You
just,
know, people were like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like there's like people that are like, "Bleh," like stabbing their eyes out. They're like, what was that?
yeah.
And it had some nice aspects to it because like one of the weird pig elephant things was like very friendly, and there was like a dog owner like love to it at times, but it got weird fast, and it
Yeah.
was I was uncomfortable.
I was like, what was that story even about? Was it about like this plunky little girl that like wanted to save her pet pig? Or was it
Yeah.
about, yeah, I guess that's all it was.
Was it about the meat and the meat industry and how evil it is? Was it about how PETA is fucking nuts? Like it was just
Was it Tilda Swinton's character's storyline of like
oh
not
yeah, and
good enough for her family? What the fuck is going on?
it was like the person that wrote it had so many like theories and they just put them all in, like it was too many theories in one movie.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sounds,
that movie scarred me.
yeah.
And this is how much it scarred me. When you said lab meat, at first I didn't know what you were talking about, and then as soon as I did, I immediately thought of that movie. So it had an impact. It had a scarring, I would say childlike trauma, but I was 32.
I know. I just watched it like over the first lockdown, and just like I hated that shit.
Oh yeah, it was, and somebody recommended it to me, and
Yeah.
I was mad at them. I was genuinely mad at them.
I get mad at people too for recommending shit to me. Like there are some people I won't let recommend movies to me anymore because you watch.
Oh, that's the yeah. Would you like to get into Let's Get Personal?
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of a weird question, but I feel like it might be interesting. What's a reason someone might be jealous of you?
I don't know. Curly
Really?
hair? I mean, I guess like I got it. Being able to get paid doing comedy.
Okay, so just like living your dream and like having
Yeah, like
this.
not having a 9 to 5 and being able to like have this be my full-time job.
Do you feel like people have said that to you? Like people have like.
Yeah, I think a lot of like it's usually comedians who are like coming up and they'll be
Mhm.
like, so like do you just do comedy or do you do anything else? And I'm like, well, it's this, and like I might supplement it with some coaching and stuff.
Yeah.
But, and I think that if people have office jobs, they have to go to work and then go out and do comedy. Like I did that for the first
Oh yeah,
10
we all
years
do.
of my career, and it's really hard getting off work and going straight to a show because if you go home, you'll be too tired to go back out, and like just being out all day. But yeah, I think when you're a comedian, that's an enviable thing. And I think even if you're not a comedian, being able to make money doing what you love is pretty enviable too.
Can I tell you what mine is for you?
Yeah.
I would say your decision making and like the fearlessness that comes with your decision making. Like you are a decision maker, and when you make it, you fucking do it. There's no like, should I? I don't know. What if it doesn't work out? Like it's almost like it's kind of insane. Insane in a I don't know if I would do that, but also in an insane like I wish I could do that. Like it's like that weird like I'm jealous and I wish I could have that, but I'm also like on the outside being like I hope she makes it. Like I'm watching you do an insane parkour jump over a building and I'm like I wish I could do that, but she's fucking nuts and I hope she makes it.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only am I jumping, but I'm also like texting and getting stuff done while I'm jumping, like not even thinking about it.
Exactly. Like you're in a monster truck race that I'm like, is she scared? And you're like, no. And I'm like, but you should be. Like you should be scared.
Right.
But yeah, I would say as somebody that's known you, God, like 15 years, you are when you make a decision, you fucking do it. There's no dilly dally. There's no like if I'm gonna move, if I'm gonna try something, if I'm gonna experiment with something. I know a lot of people in my life that are almost the complete opposite that can't even like decide what they're gonna eat for dinner. Like
I can't stand that though. I like
it makes me
cannot
crazy.
stand that. Just like indecision on the small scales. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like let's just get
Also,
any pizza. I don't give a shit.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons people might not even be in the place you're in by making comedy full time, by making money doing comedy and not having a 9 to 5 is because of that remember we used to talk about this very early in our friendship. We both read that article. I think it was in the New York Times. This is probably like 15 years ago. But that article about that warrior, or the burn the ships. I'm gonna butcher this. Fuck, I wish I like knew the real details. But
It
it
was
was
like it was like a Chinese army. Let's try to remember this. It's like a
yeah,
Chinese
it was like a
army
Chinese
officer
officer, and
who,
like when his troops went out, he would burn the ship so they couldn't retreat.
yeah,
And he had an undeniable advantage, and he won so many battles or whatever, because I mean, he pretty much was like, you have your only choice is to go forward. There's no turning back.
yeah.
And I think you burn a lot of ships, and it's a compliment. But I think people are jealous of that aspect because they're too scared to burn their ships.
Burn your ships. What do you know? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Has that worked out for me? I don't know. Maybe.
I think it's all about level of happiness and doing what you want, and also everybody decides. Like, I'm very grateful that I kind of screwed myself over and burned my ships, that I don't have to start over. I would be so further back. Like I've put so much in this direction that to go over here and do something more reliable would actually be less reliable for me.
This is interesting that we're talking about this, because I'm like, I kind of want to put comedy down for a little bit and just do some writing.
Yeah.
But the comedy is what's giving me any money right now. But I'm like,
yeah.
But I just feel I'd rather focus a lot less on performing stand-up and focus more. I remember the other day when we were talking about goals, and I'm like, it's still a goal to write a book. I'm like, well, like, I think I just need to just do that. But I do think that means, I'm sorry, I'm so sick of my nose. Sorry. I do think that means focusing less on stand-up. But stand-up's one of those things that'll you'll just get on a hamster wheel about it. Like, it's a constant thing. And especially when you come up in New York, and every amazing comedian you've ever met is always telling you have to get up every night. And maybe those comedians can still write a book while getting on stage 5 to 8 times a night. I don't know, but I can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the time to make that prioritizing. Like, this is the time to make that, because this is the first year that I haven't felt like I was on that hamster wheel, and I haven't been pulled away from my side projects because stand-up was dead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is the time to take that risk. Like, to me, this is less of a riskful decision, because you can't do stand-up every night. We're not touring around the country and the world. This is the first time that decision is less of a risk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like when you have that pause and you go, am I enjoying this? And I do feel like I'm running, I don't know what the phrase is. I feel like the visual I have is like running wheels, but it's just smoking and burning, but not going anywhere. I just don't feel, I don't, how do we even get on this? Burning bridges? Like what? Burning ships.
You feel plateaued. Well, what's funny is, like, I think my thing that people are jealous of is what you were kind of saying.
Oh, really?
Like, I think people are jealous of that I can just do it all, and that I'm just like this, like, crazy hard worker, and I do somehow write a book while doing stand-up, while, writing a script, while performing, while traveling. Like, my therapist has now told me that's an anxiety. Like, that's,
But why has she put a negative spin on that? It seems like it's a superpower.
Because I'm going to be burnt out at some point, and because the thing that propels me, because like the thing that has propelled me in my career has actually stifled me in my relationships, because there's more control over my career. And we know, especially with like stand-up is almost the perfect thing for my personality, because like you said, you have to constantly be writing, you have to constantly be getting up, you have to constantly be reevaluating and changing and editing. It's constant work. It's not 9 to 5, it's 24/7. And when you're anxious and you have the emotional issues that I've always had, it's a great distraction. It's a gift. It's a gift that I like doing this, and there's always work to be done.
Yeah.
And so to me, I never put down the notebook. I never stopped thinking about stand-up. I never stopped performing. I never stopped growing, because it allows me to not heal or deal with or be alone with my real thoughts, because I have this goal-oriented thing I'm passionate about. but then shift it to romantic relationships, and I put my concentration over there, and that same da 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 is just setting fire to conversations and thoughts and feelings, and I go nuts and I nitpick and I ruminate and I get scared and I pull away and I set fire to stuff, because it's to overwork your relationship is to make someone insane, but to overwork comedy is to have a special.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I think that's where a lot of people that are mentally ill tend to be really successful in one area and set fire to things in another area, because crazy is a kind of superpower depending on where you put it. And
yes.
That's why there's a lot of really successful people that are bipolar, that are, you know, borderline personality disorder, you know, what have you, because workaholism, it's rewarded. That detail oriented and that like it's just rewarded in work, especially in American society. And in a friendship, if I was doing everything that I was doing in my relationship to you, I mean, you would punch me in the face. Like, so I'm learning, as all of my friends have complimented me, how well I've stayed afloat during the pandemic, and I'm grateful for that. And I do think it's a superpower, but I also lost my relationship, and it's not fully my fault, but I also can see where that thing also set fire to it. So how people are jealous of you is, I feel, very one-sided, because they only see one half of it. They see that I'm on TV, or they see that I'm doing well, but they don't see over here where I'm uncomfortable with my own thoughts.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I'd be curious. Like, I can have an awareness that I'm good at something, but it's also detrimental, and that it actually might need to be pushed back 20 to 30% so that I can be happier in another area. Because your jokes aren't going to keep you warm at night.
No, but all that money will.
It really will. Set
really
fire
will.
to it. Really cozy.
You could buy a weighted blanket. It's just as good as cuddling. I'm really excited about our sponsor. It's Infinite CBD. Infinite CBD has like the purest forms of CBD available, and ranked top CBD company by herb.co, which is great because there's so many CBD companies.
You want to know which ones are reliable, and you want some source that combs through all the mess to find the ones that are going to be reliable. I took a workout class and I could not walk for like 2 days. And that's when I remembered. I was like, oh my God. Because they have this freezing point topical cream. It really helped like just minimize the pain. So far I've used that, and I've used the CBD PM. That one was really helpful, because we've always talked about me having my issues with falling asleep. So I'm kind of working through their menu.
Yeah. So if you want to try it for yourself, you go to infinitecbd.com. And if you put in the promo code 2NONDRS, you get 30% off your first order. And I'm going to spell that, because I know Please. You're thinking that, Liz.
I literally was like, nobody knows how to spell infinite.
I do. INFINITECBD. Is that right? INFINITECBD. Yeah. .com. Promo code 2NONDRS for 30% off your order.
Ready for our topic?
Yeah.
This is like probably our more interesting take. I was thinking alcohol holiday edition.
Yes. Were you thinking
Bright
that?
lights.
Or did I say that? When I said, let's do alcohol because the holidays are coming up.
Yes, but I did the pizzazz.
Oh, I see. I forgot the pizzazz. Yeah.
I gave a pizzazz. You just typed it. I gave pizzazz.
You're right. Okay.
It's a combination of both minds, but delivery is just important as writing. We all know that. Alcohol. Holiday edition. Oh, great job. Thanks for adding to it.
You're welcome.
Okay. It made me laugh, because I immediately was like, oh, how long has alcohol been around? And I just kind of like, I Googled it, I put it in the Googler, and National Geographic had an article that was like our 9,000 year love of alcohol. And I was like, oh shit.
Well, you think it's going to say like 1924.
This is going to sound so dumb, and I don't fully believe this, but there was a part of me that was like, it was invented in 901 or 1901, and then people got too crazy, and then prohibition happened, And then people were like, you can't take this away from us. It's a new invention of the, turn of the century.
Really, you didn't grow up with Christianity at all.
I
Jesus
didn't
turned
know.
water into wine, yo.
I know, but like, when was Jesus born? I don't pay attention. Like, nobody, you don't understand.
Before 1901.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. I don't even need to be drunk for drunk history, because I'm just dumb history. Like, I never went to church. I never grew up religious. I don't care about alcohol. My parents didn't drink. I just don't, alcohol wasn't something, like, I do think my grandfather was an alcoholic and he just stopped. That's something that, like, we don't really talk about, but is a part of my family. And I never saw him as an alcoholic, but it just wasn't a thing in our family. It wasn't our vice. And even when I started drinking when I was 14, I didn't really enjoy it. I was more a pothead. And the culture we grow up in, and like, it's probably even more harsh with you being in the UK, because I found being in the UK and this, like, alcohol is our life. It really is, like, yeah, every meal has a beer. Every meal has a beverage. And I just didn't grow up that way, to the point where, like, on the flip side, I just stayed with my friend Danny. She's like my childhood friend from elementary school. And when I would sleep over at their house, they would have milk with their meal. And I thought that was
so wholesome.
So weird. I think we were soda or water. Like, I just think that's what we were. And my dad wouldn't let us drink soda during the week. So soda was like a weekend thing. And we would binge soda because we're like, party, bubbles. But like, did your family grow up with alcohol being a consistent thing?
No, it was a occasional thing. It was for events, Christmases, holidays, maybe a vacation. My dad might have drank 6 beers a year, and then my mom, like, she'll get drunk just sniffing wine. She's just like, ooh.
Oh, drunk Mrs. Shahada. Yeah. That would be so cute.
She's walking around with a little pina colada.
Aw. I actually found out from research why women get drunk faster than men.
Because we weigh less?
We have less blood. That just blows my mind. So they basically say because we're more fat, like women have more fat than muscle, we have less blood. And having less blood means we get, I don't know the science behind this, but that's what they said. Like, we get drunk faster. So
that's
it
nuts.
is. It is
if
a little
we're trying
nuts.
to be equal, and we're like, if you prick us, do we not bleed? And the answer is like, not really, no.
No, not really. Just the same way that we physically don't have as much muscle, like we don't have as much blood.
Okay, so women get drunker quicker.
But that's why, like, everybody's mom that doesn't really drink, that doesn't build up that tolerance is like your mom, where it's just like they sniff it and they're like, woo.
Yeah.
And you're like, Mom, you had half a glass of wine. She's like, I am buzzed. But what I find interesting is that, like, they were talking about all this kind of genetics that really people's disposition for somebody that's always getting blackout drunk, or somebody that gets sleepy as opposed to rowdy, or somebody that gets drunk quicker, like, all of it is kind of genetics. Like, you can do some kind of maneuvering and manipulating by drinking more, clearly, like that stuff does, but it's all about your genetics, and then how your genetics responds to the dopamine. And it was actually really fascinating. Oh, here it is. A response to the dopamine and the endorphin. So everybody from drinking gets a little bit of dopamine, but your genetics is going to decide how much pleasure you get from drinking alcohol. And then you also get endorphins, which is like that kind of calm. It's the reason why people drink to relax, is it's that calming and lack of stress. But again, if you're somebody that gets a lot of endorphins from drinking, that might be a predisposition to becoming an alcoholic, because you get more of that calming, feel-good feeling. And then it becomes a cycle, because then what happens is that your body now needs more. Your body stops making as much dopamine as endorphins, and you have to get more of it from alcohol, and it becomes this cycle, so that when you're sober, you have less of it and you need to drink to get more of it.
Fucking dopamine's always fucking us up. Because when I drink wine, like the first couple of glasses, I'm like, ooh, I love life. And I love you, Liz. And you know what? I need to text a few people and let's get to the bottom of what's going on with us. You know what I mean? Like, but not in a like a confrontational, like angry way. It's just like, why are we?
So the first 3 wines, you're an I love you drunk.
Yeah.
I've always been an I love you drunk. I was always like, because I'm not a very touchy feely lovey person. I am like, I'm loving, but I'm not a like, get over here. Like, I'm not like that, like, let's hug it out.
That's hilarious.
Even my cat, I'm like, I pet her 3 times and I'm like, we're good, right? Like, we're done. We don't need it. We don't need to keep doing this, right? And I always kind of noticed that I would just be a little less reserved, and I would just be more like, and I always known people like me drunk, but I didn't like me drunk because I'm like, if this is who I was, I would be this not drunk. Like, I always kind of justified it. Like, if I was an I love you drunk, then I should be an I love you not drunk.
I did like that about red wine. And then like there are different, like alcohols have different sort of feels to them. So like vodka never gave me that warm fuzzy. Whiskey and red wine do.
Oh, that is interesting too, that like certain beverages cause, I wonder if it is like certain, like you get different dopamine, different endorphins from
that would
certain
actually
beverages.
Be really interesting. Should I look that up while you're
Yeah,
talking?
let's look that up, because I think that, because don't you notice that with your friends, certain people, like they're just red wine drinkers, or they're just like, I just only have rum and Coke. Like there's like, people get their drinks and they stay to them hard. So I wonder if, depending on what your personality and what your genetics are, that's what you stick to, because it's the same way that like when we talked about fast food, like it's cookie cutter. I get this burger, it tastes exactly the same whether I'm in Maine or fucking Oklahoma, and it's consistent, and I like the consistency. So wouldn't you always stick with red wine if it always gave you that exact buzz that made you feel calm?
But I mean, yeah, because like white wine would give me a headache. I hated white wine. What did you drink when you drank? Like what would you choose?
It was bad. Like Malibu Bay Breezes. I loved,
of course.
I know. I knew you were going to make that face. Fuck you. I liked like heroin sugar with some alcohol.
You're a girl drunk.
Fuck off. This is the saddest part about it. I would have a headache before I even got home, because it, too much sugar with alcohol is just the worst thing. So I would be like hungover before I got home. It was just so bad. Clearly I like stuff that's sweeter. So then there was like a couple of dessert wines. Like I don't like wine. It tastes like medicine to me. And then there was a couple of dessert wines that weren't too bad. And then really it was about like kind of sweeter beers. Like there was this summer ale. This is like, we're talking about 10, 12 years ago. There was this summer ale and I was obsessed with it. And then I was just really disappointed. You could only find it in the summer. I was like, this is some garbage. And they're like, yeah, it's a summer ale. Like that's when things are like in season. I was like, yeah, but like, what if I want it to be summertime all the time? Like I listen to Will Smith, summertime all the time.
Yeah.
One of the dumbest things I've ever said.
I don't know if I buy this, but like 2 websites now have said that the way an alcohol makes you feel comes down to how you drink it rather than what you're drinking. So like tequila, often a lot of people say tequila makes me angry, but tequila is often mixed. It's rare that you'll drink like a tequila on the rocks, unless it's like a really nice tequila, but that's only gotten kind of popular in the past, I'd say 10 years. But I've drank vodka and soda, and it, there's no flavoring, there's no sugar in the soda, but like the vodka just doesn't give me that like that same sort of happiness. Maybe it's the sugar in the wine. But basically the NHS says that the Mail Online had a headline saying wine relaxes you, vodka gives you energy, and beer boosts your confidence, which I wholly agree with. And they're like, this irresponsible headline was prompted by a survey of young people, but they're just angry because they didn't say all the bad things alcohol does. But I mean, it's just like, I think everyone notices the differences in drunk, because like that question's pretty prevalent. But no one can explain why, and that's annoying to me.
If you think about it just on a social construct, every mom, whether it's somebody our age that's a mom or literally our moms, every mom that I know is a wine drinker. They drink it at the end of the day to kind of relax. And then every guy has a couple of beers or like a mixed drink, something with like, whiskey or something, again, as a way to just kind of relax. I remember telling this to Prakash once. I was on a plane with a ginger ale, and it was just a little bit of ginger ale with a big thing of ice in it. And I was looking out the window, and I started laughing. And I was telling Prakash, I was like, I just had this moment where I was like at a bar thinking about the woman that my wife knows about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just had this very, like,
You know,
there is
Mad Men moment.
I did. I just had this, like, this way I was holding this glass with this big chunk of ice and just like a little bit of, it was ginger ale, but like in my mind, it was a little bit of whiskey. And I'm looking out the window and I'm like, she knows. And I have to go home and confront her. Like, I can't
Yeah.
let this go any longer. But
It's
there's
gonna
like
be a
these
hard
moments.
conversation, but
Yeah, but this is the time to do it. But there is something like, I just have this idea of a man sits alone and thinks difficult thoughts with a beverage he didn't like, but he grew to love. Like,
yeah. Because his
there's a
dad drank it,
romanticism.
and his dad's drank it, and his dad, and his father's, and his father's father, and his father's father's father. I'm sorry.
I have a Ron Swanson belief of manhood and alcohol, where it's just like, you don't enjoy it, but you do it. Like, just what you're supposed to do. But I didn't grow up with a dad like that. My dad is actually kind of adorable because he didn't really drink. And I don't know, we never really talked about it. I don't know if it was a conscious decision, like his dad was an alcoholic and he was like, I don't want it. But the way he describes it is like, he's like, I tried it. It was gross. I didn't want to drink it. But then, he had 5 kids and we had all these kind of like graduation parties, and like my dad tried to have like little parties and stuff for us. And so he knows you can't have a party without alcohol. So then my dad's like, do people like Bud Light? Like my dad's like in a group being like, what do people drink? And I was like, I don't know. Why don't we get some beer? And like, I don't know anything either. I'm 14. So I'm like helping my dad pick out alcohol. I was like, I don't know. Why don't we get some Bud Lights and then we'll get wine spritzers. And so my dad's like, okay. And then I remember my dad tried wine spritzers and he's like, these are good because they don't taste, it's a low alcohol level.
And they drunk.
Yeah. And then he likes sugar. And then now my dad's like a little buzzed off like 40 wine spritzers. He's not having 40 wine spritzers, but it was just kind of adorable. And like my dad doesn't drink at all ever, but it was kind of adorable until we got rid of them. Because of course, like 4 people drank them and now we have 40 of them in the fridge. But I remember my dad being like, well, I don't want it to go to waste and it tastes like cranberries. Like, I just didn't grow up in a family that had that kind of legacy. So then it was just me being a teenager getting drunk to self-medicate and to not feel.
That's a good reason to drink. So why didn't you? It was just that you didn't like the taste.
I not only didn't like the taste, but I didn't like who I was and how I felt. Like I was self-medicating in the sense that everybody else was doing it and it had a different reaction, but I didn't. It's like, if you think of it like in a span of things, it's like, okay, I'm anxious while sober. I have a beer or like, let's say a mixed drink. What we would do, because we're teenagers, is we would dump out half a bottle of Coke and put vodka in the rest. And then we would drink in public because we're smart.
Everyone
we're fucking smart.
And everyone knows when you do that.
Yeah, because you're being very loud and annoying. But so I would go from being anxious sober to feeling camaraderie and doing something with other people and just chugging it down because that's what other people were doing. So I'm not really enjoying the process. And then maybe I start to feel drunk and now it's like this kind of group think and we're being whatever. And then it would turn to like, oh no, I'm like stupid now. And being aware that I'm stupid and hating that I'm being stupid. And then there's being consequences to being stupid.
I have a similar reaction to weed. I was always like, oh no, I'm high. Oh, God damn it. But not alcohol. Like I never liked losing control while being high. Like I didn't like not being able to really function, but for whatever reason, alcohol, I didn't have that same problem. I didn't know if we were going to focus at all on the physical effects of alcohol, like besides the obvious of the hangovers and stuff. But like I always wanted a drink around 5 or 6 p.m. I always started to feel really anxious. And then you might say it was because of comedy and like I knew I was going to get on stage. And so it was sort of PTSD from like doing comedy and like having anxiety about comedy. So I was just feeling that every night. And then I would drink and then I would be fine. But then I would feel it again the next day. But like,
how much would you drink? Just like a glass of wine?
A couple glasses. Yeah.
So and just enough for the anxiety to go away.
Yeah. I read that was like a withdrawal symptom. It's like it takes 24 hours for alcohol to leave your body. And so there's like whatever actual hangover you're having, but the anxiety is the alcohol leaving. And I can't remember what the physical aspect of it is. So like it's just a vicious cycle because you're going to drink through that. And that's what's causing it. And then it's like Homer Simpson's quote, like, oh, alcohol, the cause and solution to all my problems.
Yes, yes. So because you've paused a fair amount. Like
yeah. And I'm still paused now. Like I think like in all of 2020, I've drank on 2 occasions. Like,
Oh,
what was
wow.
one? There was Poland, and then
So if people haven't listened to our podcast, it just sounds like you conquered Poland.
yeah,
And
well,
you
you got to drink to celebrate when you conquer Poland. And I think that's it. Like I might have had Thanksgiving I had a little bit of mulled wine, but that was like nothing. So I haven't really drank.
but also you haven't really been in a position of much anxiety either,
Right.
which is because look, I think I'm more interested of when you paused when you were still living your past life and doing stand up all the time.
Yeah, but I was doing
Because
plenty of stand up. Like if I quit like December of last year, I did stand up in December, January, February, March, and then in
oh, okay.
between the two lockdowns, all without drinking. It wasn't that. It was like fun. It's fun to like have a couple glasses of wine and feel a bit like wee, and then kind of have
I
all that shit you're anxious about just melt away.
as somebody that's like dated alcoholics and has a lot of friends that are like recovering alcoholics and stuff, I've noticed what they do is something that I do. And I do it just as like a way to fit in and not as a coping mechanism for losing something. But like when I dated an ex that was a recovering alcoholic, he would get like ginger ale and grenadine. So he would have a drink in his hand that looked drinky, like it looked like some kind
Yeah,
of mixed drink. And I've noticed just in general, I like things in cans because I always have a drink in my hand. Like nobody pressures you or nobody judges you if you're holding something. But
absolutely. Yeah.
as soon as you don't have something that looks like the can of a beer or looks like a mixed drink, there's it like they like uber focus like, hey, I'm feeling this way, you should be feeling this way. I'm doing this, you should be doing this. I'd rather nobody know that I don't drink than have to go through the fucking talking about it or explaining it, or even the same thing with like all my dietary issues. I'd rather nobody knows and I just figure it out than having to explain this boring story of my stupid stomach. Like, I just don't want to do that. So I think the social aspect of fitting in is probably what kept me drinking longer than normal because I never really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I just want to say when I said the PTSD from the comedy shows, like I know it's not actually PTSD, but I was just saying I had like anxiety that wasn't attributed to anything. And I think it was just, it's like my brain knew like this is what comedy happens and comedy makes me nervous. It wasn't like I was nervous about comedy every night. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, it does make sense. I just kind of learned a lot of weird facts about alcohol, and I just feel like I feel like doing a book report, like a really
Okay.
shitty book report.
All right.
Okay, 17 BCE. I don't even know what that means. Is the is the earliest, they say in China is when they started fermenting, and they would ferment rice, millet, grapes, and honey. And no joke, when I heard they say honey, I was like, yeah, like I would drink that
Have
weird
you ever had
fermented
mead? It's a
mead.
thing. It's like honey wine. Yeah.
Do you think I would like it as somebody that
No,
knows my palate? No, it's
I
still gross.
do
Okay.
not think so.
Still disgusting. Okay, fuck that. But it was like I put myself in like 17 BCE China and I was like, honey wine. I'm in China. But it was all about like fermented beverages and everybody did it. And I always get excited when anybody mentions Egypt because I was just like, these are her ancestors. But Egypt made beer from stored honey grains. I mean, sorry, not horse. I misspoke. Made beer from stored cereal grains. And I just had this like, I don't know. I just had this little like stereotypical Egyptian looking people that would like eat cereal. And then if they had leftovers, they were like, I'm going to make wine out of this, or I'm going to make beer out of this. Like, I just had this like
I love,
weird
but
image.
the cereal you're picturing is like Frosted Flakes.
100%. That's 100% what I saw. They would like stop short of finishing their Frosted Flakes. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to save this so I have a beverage later. But I thought it was so cool. I just don't think I realized like all the different things that they made. Oh, the other cool thing about Egyptians is that beer was available to all social classes, and people would receive beer in like their daily rations. So even the poor, like it was one of those things, you know how like America's fighting for like, healthcare for all. Beer, it was like beer for all. Like it was like nobody deserves to live a life without beer. Like I just
Yeah.
found that
Well, not to like steal the fun out of this, but are you sure it wasn't because like it was cleaner than water?
so that's the other thing that I kind of learned is that when people started like sailing a shit ton and it would take like 2 to 3 months to get from one place to the other, they would actually put like a big thing of brandy in the water because it actually it like, what did they say? Oh, so it kept the water fresher longer because it killed off like harmful microbes. So
Yeah.
maybe it was better than water, but I still love the idea that you're like, working a horrible day at work in God knows when, Egypt, and you're like, but now we get drunk.
Have
guys.
a frothy beer. There's like a healthy like head on it, and just like a beer commercial Coors Light.
Yeah,
bottles.
I did. I saw it like, there's like literally dirt on their face and like, they're just.
It would
like,
actually be an excellent commercial for beer.
But it's like literally like a slave owner and a slave, sadly, in Egypt, and they're both like, cheers. Like
it's hard work building those pyramids.
You're like, I lost 6 of my friends today, but like
have a pyramid.
So because Egypt had clearly different climate than maybe like Greece or Rome, beer was like plentiful, but like wine was really rare and expensive. So then when you get to like Greece and Rome, that's where there's tons of wine, and everybody had wine. And then you go to like South Africa, and they had this thing called chicha, which is like awesome name for something, and they would make it from grains, and they would put hallucinogenic herbs in it. And I was like, yeah, South America, fun with your alcoholic beverage. There literally was like, buzzed and drunk isn't enough. I want to see things. I want to go to different places. And then East Africa made it with banana and palm beer. And I'm like watching this YouTube video getting excited. I was like, yeah, sweet beer. That's what I'm talking. That's that summer ale I'm talking about. And then of course, Japan made sake with rice, and that's still like a thing. And then it basically said everywhere around the globe made these like fermented drinks. The problem was it had a low alcohol rate. I think it was like 13%. It wasn't until distilling alcohol. I again, it explained the whole process, but I was like too dumb. But basically,
a low alcohol rate of 13%. That feels pretty high.
Yeah, that's what it said though.
Okay.
Alcohol content?
Yeah, but I mean, like beers have like a Bud Light would be like 4%, and then a craft beer might have 6.
Maybe it's just different because ancient times they were just better people and they could be drunk while working. I don't know.
They had more blood.
They had more blood then. Yeah, I'm gonna stand by that. That's our false science that we're spreading. Ancient Egyptians had more blood, so they could handle more alcohol, and they were just superior. That's
what happens when you're descendants of aliens.
Yeah. Basically in the 9th century, the distilling, I don't know, I can't say it, but it became more concentrated. Distillition. I don't even know if I spelled it right.
I don't think you did, but also your face died a little when I said spell it. You're like,
don't make me on our podcast do my shitty spelling.
I didn't realize you had. I thought, okay, I don't know why I thought you had it printed out or something.
No, I write gibberish to myself, and then I can't read it. But really, basically, spirits became a thing, and then that's when like rum and brandy and gin. It's so funny because they started to have rules pretty quickly, like you couldn't pray, because like Christianity and I think Judaism all had things where they incorporated alcohol with it, but it was very ritualistic, and it wasn't to get intoxicated. They basically believed excessive intoxication was a sin, but there started to be like rules in certain religions where you couldn't pray while drinking and all that kind of stuff. But I guess I never really knew. I think we all know that every culture has rituals around drinking, and religions talk about drinking. I definitely, as somebody that didn't go to church, I still know that you drink, the blood of Christ, and that's wine. And then you have like a Tostito, and that's his body or whatever. It sounds really dumb, but I actually really enjoyed like learning the history of alcohol and the fact that it like because of what people grew, people were really dedicated, and they made alcohol out of it just like, when you hear like during Prohibition, people are making like these bathtub wine. I thought getting crafty was because you didn't have access to stuff. And then to learn that like people were always making weird banana beer and stuff. It was just kind of cool.
Yeah. We should have got you drunk for this. I think that would have been more fun.
I would never break it because my body has so much, like I asked for an apple cider, and I guess I didn't realize it was alcoholic, and I drank it. This was like a couple years ago, and immediately I was like, there's alcohol in this. And I remember panicking, and I was like, why am I panicking? I just had a sip of it. It's not like I'm an alcoholic, but I was immediately like, my body cannot handle this. And I remember that was actually the alcoholic beverage I enjoyed when ciders became really big, especially like in the UK. You would see a list, because remember it used to be like these weird like ciders. There'd be like one. And then I remember like 5 years ago, you went to the UK and they had like, it was almost like a beer list. It was like all these different ones. And I got like choices. So exciting.
Yeah.
It's like when you're vegetarian and you go to a restaurant and it's not just one vegetarian meal. They
Oh,
actually have
right.
like
Yeah, of
7.
course.
And all of
You
a
get rid of
sudden you're like,
fries.
I feel seen. I feel cared for. But like, I don't know. We drink all the time, but then we get really excited for specialty drinks. Like that's what I think. That's when I think like holiday edition, like eggnog and alcohol, or like these things where like we drink so much as a society that there's always some mixologist that's trying to make something fancy for a certain time of year. This is your 4th of July fancy beverage, or what have you.
Yeah.
But like, how is eggnog changing your alcohol all that much, or is it just a way of justifying drinking more?
I don't think either. I think there are certain like yearly traditions that when it comes to it's that time of year, like it's like pumpkin spice lattes. It has nothing to do with alcohol.
Oh,
But
that's a good
people love
point.
the fall, and then they love the idea of going to Starbucks and getting this pumpkin spice latte, even though every time you do, you get it and you're like, it's actually a lot sweeter than I remembered. Maybe I should have got it like a half pump. But it's the same with eggnog, because
Remember this.
eggnog is actually fucking disgusting. And then you'll have that and you'll be like, I don't actually like eggnog, but like it's like
Dude,
wintertime, you go with hot toddies and eggnog
yeah.
and yeah.
I was gonna say about eggnog. I've always hated eggnog. I thought it was disgusting. And then my friend, they bought eggnog, and she's with her kids, and she's like, giving them eggnog, and she's like, "Do you want some?" And I was like, "I don't think I like it." And she's like, "This is really good." And I was like, "I just don't think I like it." She's like, "I'll give you a shot of eggnog." So I get this little shot, and I was like, "This is really good." And she's like, "Oh, it's vanilla eggnog." And I was like, "Oh, I
Oh,
need sugar. I just need sugar in everything." I really
yeah.
think when I die at 54, on the dot, 54 exactly, I called it. When I
That
die
was really
exactly,
weird and random.
when I
I
die
just
at
went, I just
54,
nodded, and then I didn't. I was like, "What?"
when I die at 54 on the dot, it's going to actually not be anything. It's just that I'm going to just die. And then I'm going to ask them to do an autopsy, because I'm going to be cremated. And they're just going to see just like clumps of sugar inside my body. Like like I put so much. I remember being addicted to Splenda, not addicted, but like use Splenda for everything, because it was the only time that I felt reasonable in society, because I would use one Splenda packet and I would just feel normal. And then when, of course, you find out that Splenda is like rotting our insides and you shouldn't have it, I had to convert back to sugar. And then I realized I put 4 tablespoons of sugar, or I just do this when you're in a diner, and I
Yeah.
just like count 75 Mississippis. But I look like I have a problem, and I look crazy, and I hated the way it made me look. I didn't change who I was, because I went off sugar for 3 years. And I thought I would come back and I would be a changed woman, but I'm not. Like, this is like a rant about how I
This
just don't
isn't
want to be
about
who I
sugar,
am.
though. This is about you.
I just start crying. I'm
I
just
know.
like,
I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. Yeah, yeah. I just had a tub of vanilla custard last night, and well, like I shared it with my flatmate, but like, there's a lot of calories in custard, and I had no idea.
okay.
I had like 750 calories of custard last night.
What a horrifying thing to find out after you're done eating. You're like, why? Who let me do this?
Seriously, I mean, I actually didn't regret it that much, but like, um, I, I mean, that's what happens when you quit drinking. It's like, you just sort of replace it all with sugar, because your
I
body's
noticed that
missing the sugars.
you never had a sweet tooth. You would have a bite. If I got dessert with us, you would have you would have a bite, but you were never like where I was like, we have to have dessert. Like I was like,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm full. And I'm like, yeah, I'm full too, Maria. But that doesn't mean we don't have dessert. Don't be a monster. And you would have a bite and you would be like, oh yeah, this is good. And I would just be like, oh, that must be nice. And then I remember going to visit you, I think it was like a year ago, and you were like, oh, let's get dessert. And I was all excited. I felt like we were in tune for the first time ever. And then it was after every meal. And I started to be suspicious. I was like, are you sad? Like, and you're like, no, I quit alcohol. And I was like, oh, did I need, like, alcohol was your sugar, and then you got rid of it and you met me on the same page. And then I immediately was like, this is going to grow our friendship in a
Yeah.
way that it could never have grown.
It was dangerous because it could have gone the other way, where it's like, now I have to fight for the dessert, when before I just had a bite and give it the rest to you.
Yeah, now
it's
we're like literally in a fork fight where I'm just like, oh, you said half, and you're like, but I deserve more.
Yeah.
I don't know if we solved anything with our alcohol
I
discussion.
don't think we were trying to solve anything.
No, this was more like, to me, like a history lesson of alcohol. Like it was kind of exciting to just like learn. So if you guys, we would love to hear from you. If you know any fun facts about alcohol, like how it's how it is absorbed into your body, the different, like if you could even answer our question that if certain alcohols have a different effect on people consistently, and that's why people favor certain things. Maybe reason, like maybe patterns you've seen with yourself with alcohol. What are some even fun memories? Like what are some like,
what's your
I
favorite
think,
girl drink?
yeah, I would love people to make me seem less girly. Prakash would never, my buddy Prakash, he was like my drinking buddy, and he would be like, do you want to get a drink? And I'd be like, no, I don't want one. He'd be like, get a drink. And I'd be like, nah, I don't want one. And he'd be like, come on. And I'd be like, fine, I want a Malibu Bay Breeze. He's like, I'm not ordering that. And I was like, well, then I'm not drinking, Prakash.
Yeah.
So it was always this fight. And then eventually he just kind of was just like, he would order it. He became so friendly with some of the bartenders that he'd be like, can you get Liz a drink? And he would never have to say it because they just knew, like, he just didn't want to say it.
Yeah. No, the same thing happened to me when I ordered, I wanted like wine coolers, and my brother's friend was going in to buy the stuff, and he came out, he was like, they're out of wine coolers. I got you this stuff. And they weren't. He just didn't want to say it. He didn't want to buy it. But like, yeah, but Girl Drink Drunk is a Kids in the Hall reference before anyone gets on me about sexism.
Yeah. But yeah, write to us at Two Non-Doctors, and thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Thanks. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.